Hello and welcome back to this day trading analysis video of the 19th of May 2025. In this video, I'm going to analyze pre-market biggest movers and their catalyst and see if they were tradable and how they could have been traded during the pre-market and the market session. If you're new here, I'm sharing my journey learning trading, focusing on catalyst-based day trading and catalyst-based swing trading, and I'm looking to develop an edge over news and catalysts. So if this is something that interests you, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. The first and only stock we're going to look at today is PTXI, which is a biotech company. Had the news on the 19th at 7:43, and the news was that Protagenic Therapeutics, which is PTXI, and PTXI announced business combination to form neuroactive biopharmaceutical company with 6 drug candidates in development, including treatment for obesity and metabolic disorders. From the headline itself, we understand this is a merger news about 2 companies coming together and forming a new company with 6 drug candidates in development that include some treatment for obesity and metabolic disorders, which are important markets. As soon as I see that this is a merger news, what I want to see in the details of the article is if this merger is for growth reasons, so if it's a positive merger, or if it's a merger for defensive reasons. Okay, so let's look at the details of the news. So it says that Protagenic Therapeutics and PTXI Bio have entered into a definite share exchange agreement, pursuant to which the 2 entities will combine in an all-stock transaction, and the combined entity, to be called PTXI, will bring together 2 pipelines focused on stress-related and CNS disorders, 5 clinical assets, and 1 clinical stage asset. So these are the 6 drugs that were mentioned in the headline. Okay, so and here they're listing the pipeline assets. Okay, I'm looking for this obesity and metabolic disorder one. Potassium, multiple, based on compound, potential CNS, including property molecule, obesity. So this is the one. Cannabinoid assets, multiple ones, CNS, okay, modified in a compound with composition of matter IP, anticonvulsion activity in preclinical models. Okay, then the article goes to list the key benefits for Protagenic shareholders. So they're talking about pipeline expansion, adding some CNS programs to existing stress disorder portfolio, pipeline diversity, clinical and preclinical stage assets with potential significant milestones over the next 18 months. Okay, CNS expertise, integrate PTXI Bio team members who worked on Cetavex and some maybe famous drugs that were already developed and commercialized. Patent estate, broader composition of matter coverage across the pipeline, talent pool, combined team to advance development and regulatory activities. And then there is a statement from their executive chairman and another one. And then here there's the details of the structure of the combination, which is not so important to look into. You can actually have a look, but it's not very, very important. Okay, then there's just mention about what the companies there are about. Okay, so if I were to summarize this news, this is a business combination or a merger of basically 2 biotech companies agreeing to create a new entity. And the new entity will have the drug pipeline, including 6 drug candidates in development, 1 in clinical stage and 5 in preclinical stage. Some of them will be targeting obesity and metabolic disorders, which are major markets. And the last point is that this merger will bring together different teams with different expertise. So now, why is this merger bullish? Why was it viewed positively by the market? Well, you need to understand the difference between growth-oriented mergers and defensive mergers. Defensive mergers often stem from financial distress, stagnation of growth, or sometimes operational weaknesses. So they tend to focus on cost cutting, cost synergies, layoffs, consolidation, restructuring, bankruptcy avoidance, and things like that. So investor sentiment when it comes to defensive deals and defensive mergers is typically skeptical, cautious. We don't know what's going on. The question they are usually asking themselves is, what is the extent of the distress that we're not seeing? And can this new entity survive? And can they make it? On the other hand, growth mergers focus on value creation, on market opportunities, on expansion, on growth strategies, on increasing the market share, on acquiring new talents or a new brand, on the idea that the combined entity will actually be stronger and well positioned in the market. And so when we look at the news here, there is absolutely no mention to any financial distress, first of all, or any layoffs, or any reducing overheads or cutting costs. There was an emphasis on pipeline expansion with high-value assets, including these drugs that are targeting obesity and metabolic disorders, which are quite significant markets. They've mentioned elements suggesting that they have a proactive growth strategy. So it seems that the merger is not about survival, but it's about creating a stronger, more competitive company. The merger will combine complementary technologies and R&D pipelines and teams with different expertise. And there was a lot of emphasis on value creation over cost cutting, talking about market opportunity and synergy, not layoffs, no consolidation, no overlapping resources or anything like that. This merger is aimed at expanding drug development, not just reducing any overhead. And the market reacted accordingly, as we will see in a moment. Okay, so we're looking at the 1 minute chart here of PTXI. This is the pre-market session, and we can see that around the time the news was out, there was an initial reaction of 121%. So this is what I would call the initial reaction. The overreaction basically. And so what happened after was a bit of a pullback and a sideways action, which I usually like to see. The sideways action went a little bit above VWAP here and kind of surfed above VWAP until it broke out at 818. And that's when I suppose the trade is, for me anyways, as I like to trade the second leg. So the stock offered a second opportunity here all the way until here, which is another 60%, pretty nice. Usually this is what happens when the news is really positive. You'd have the first reaction, especially with these low float, low market cap biotech companies. You'd have the overreaction, some sort of a pullback or sideways. Then you'll have a second reaction or a second leg, which was pretty nice in the case of PTXI. Then even at the market open, so what happened is that the stock sold off at the open here. So let's see, it sold off at 20% down, okay, and then it started going a bit of a sideways here, below VWAP. The trade became interesting when it started recovering and going above VWAP. The moment it crossed VWAP, that's when it became interesting and offered a good risk reward opportunity. This is where you can see, so how much was the move here all the way until here, another 68%, which is pretty decent. This news was viewed very positively by the market. Of course, this is for me, a one-day trade, a one-day reaction, because then it's usually an overreaction and then the market will correct a little bit. But for that particular day, this was a very good opportunity. That's it for today's day trading analysis. As always, please comment, share, subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and thank you for watching.